This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
It's simply the best.
You're listening to the #1 Nielsen-rated
Better than all the rest.
The News Hour with Noam Laden. Thank you for listening. 77 WABC.
Simply the best.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 10th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. Could see a pop-up shower. High 79. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 65. And then Wednesday, sunshine, warmer, high 85. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 62 in cloudy in New Square up in Rockland County. 63 in cloudy in Clark over in New Jersey. And it's 61 in misty right outside our Midtown studios.
The top 5 at 5.
Right to Die advocates celebrate a big victory in New York. Cops unravel a hit-for-hire plot on Long Island. A Bronx 2-year-old's been missing for a month. There was a wild home invasion in a quiet Queens neighborhood. And it's primary day in the Garden State. All right, let's start 5:01. We'll start with the fact that it is primary day in New Jersey. Some big names in politics fighting to represent their party in a hotly contested race to become the next governor. Governor Murphy is term limited out. That means there'll be a new face in Trenton, be it Republican or a Democrat. Voters say they like the fact that they have a lot of choice today. There's a slew of candidates on both sides running for governor.
It makes it exciting for voters, and it gives us lots of opportunities to explore lots of different people.
Hopefully the economy gets better, and because New Jersey is very, very critical.
Every poll shows the economy top of minds for voters as they cast ballots today and as they cast ballots in early voting over the last week. The race on the Democratic side for governor in New Jersey seems to be closer than the one on the Republican side.
It's a race that will be seen as a litmus test of the midterms. President Trump came within 5 points of the Garden State in 2024, and Governor Phil Murphy is term limited. Vying for the opportunity to take his place is Republican frontrunner Jack Ciattarelli, along with radio host Bill Spadea. The Democratic side of the ticket is far more crowded and the outcome less clear, with U.S. Reps Mikey Sherrill and Josh Gottheimer, Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, and Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop among the biggest spenders. The winners of both primaries then look forward to a showdown at the ballot box on November 4th.
WABC News Time 5:02. Oh, by the way, those polls open in 58 minutes from now. 6 o'clock. They'll be open till 8 o'clock tonight. Protesters sat down in the lobby of Trump Tower yesterday, chanting "Bring them back" and a reference to ICE deportations to El Salvador. Video posted to social media shows the NYPD cops placing some of those demonstrators in zip ties, escorting them out of Trump Tower. One woman was one of the many taken into custody during protests on Saturday and then again yesterday. She was arrested again yesterday.
We were at Trump Tower today to protest the illegal and unconstitutional work that ICE is doing, arresting and deporting people without any due process at all.
There were no initial reports of violence or injuries, nothing like what's going on in California. Longtime civil rights activist Norman Siegel was cheering on what he says were peaceful demonstrators here in the city.
You can't block the entrance or exits to buildings, but you can demonstrate. You can be on public sidewalks without even a permit.
Mayor Adams, though, warning that the city would not tolerate anything but peaceful protests and would clamp down quick on anybody who turns violent.
I understand that some New Yorkers may be angry, afraid, and ready to express that. New York City will always be a place to peacefully protest, but we will not allow violence and lawlessness.
Now, out in Los Angeles, it was a mostly peaceful day yesterday. We'll get into that in just a moment. 5:04, there was drama in the courtroom yesterday as deliberations continued in Harvey Weinstein's retrial for a third day here in the city. The 73-year-old is accused of raping a woman back in 2013, sexually assaulting two others 20 years ago. He's pled not guilty, but there were signs of difficulty among the jury. Jurors sent several notes throughout the day. In one note, a juror requested to speak with the judge about a situation that they called not very good. In the other, the jury requested rules of deliberations and rules of a hung jury. None of that good signs for prosecutors. Judge Curtis Farber clarified that there's no indication that there is a hung jury just yet. The judge, juror, and attorney and defense and prosecution, they held a conversation in a separate room. The defense attorney, Arthur Aidala, has filed several motions for a mistrial citing juror misconduct, but so far that has not taken place. And then, of course, Harvey Weinstein himself called in to Sid and Friends in the morning yesterday to declare his innocence, but told Sid he has been no saint during his life.
If I had a chance to do it all over again, I never would have cheated on my wife. I had a great family situation, and I ruined it. It's me. I'm the reason, that was ruined. I acted immorally, but as Arthur said, I never acted illegally. I wouldn't have been with any of these women, had I had, the smarts to really think about my family. And I was selfish, and I'm paying for it, now.
Now, it was interesting to listen to him yesterday. Great interview, by the way. You can hear the entire thing at WABCRadio.com or downloading the 77 WABC app, where people questioned why didn't the attorneys let him speak during the trial. There was a moment where Weinstein spoke to the court briefly, but the jurors were not present when he made his remarks. He declared his innocence as he spoke to Sid yesterday.
Believe me, I'm telling the truth. I'm no saint, but I'm not a sexual... But I never with these three women did I ever, hurt them or lunge at them or, anything or do anything untoward towards all three of them. And the most important thing is, even they admit that they had consensual relationships with me. So it's stunning to say, hey, he raped me, but then I went to bed with him, consensually.
Yeah, pretty compelling interview with Sid and Harvey Weinstein yesterday. A lawyer who lives down the street from me, he was talking about this yesterday in the dog park where everything seems to happen. And he said after watching everything back and forth yesterday with the jury coming out and the meeting with the judge, he said he'd be shocked if this doesn't end as a hung jury. Deliberations are expected, though, to resume again this morning. WABC News Time 5:08. It is a week-long goodbye to former Congressman Charlie Rangel, who died on Memorial Day.
Rangel lying in repose at a church in Harlem, a two-day public viewing taking place at St. Aloysius Church in Harlem, where the longtime New York City congressman and Korean War veteran once served as an altar boy. A private viewing for Rangel's family will be held at City Hall Wednesday night, followed by a public viewing and honor guard ceremony Thursday. Rangel's funeral mass scheduled for Friday at St. Patrick's Cathedral. He died at the age of 94 on Memorial Day. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
From Harlem, let's go up to the Bronx. A snatch and dash robbery there this weekend had a sad twist. The victim was just 5 years old.
Police say the boy was playing on the sidewalk with his brother and other kids along Marion Avenue near 193rd Street in Fordham Manor Saturday afternoon. That's when surveillance video shows someone on a moped pulled up, grabbed the chain from the boy's neck with enough force to lift him up off the ground, then sped off. The boy's dad says he had just stepped away when it happened. He also says the necklace was a special religious symbol. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time, 5:10. Let's go out to Los Angeles. We're watching video this morning. It shows a masked group handing out riot gear and gas masks to protesters in downtown L.A., all captured on video last night, just feet away from federal buildings. National Guard troops standing outside some federal buildings, but no local police visible. One report says people arrived with truckloads of bionic face shields. It's unclear who the people who handed out the gear are and whether they're affiliated with, who they're affiliated with. We just don't know. And then it was a mess, of course, between the lawmakers, politicians yesterday. Feud that has been brewing for a while between President Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom escalating.
I think his primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job.
Yeah, he's talking about Governor Gavin Newsom. A reporter asking Trump if border czar Tom Homan should arrest Newsom over the anti-ICE demonstrations in Los Angeles. Newsom called Trump's comments a sign of authoritarianism. That's what I was trying to say, announcing a lawsuit against the White House for federalizing the California National Guard. Trump dismissing all of that.
It's lucky for the people in Los Angeles and in California that we did what we did. We got it just in time.
Governor Newsom says it's time for President Trump to be a commander-in-chief.
And I will have your back if you want to work in a relationship of trust and truth in the spirit of our founding fathers. But you come after poor kids, you come after families, we will do everything in our power to stand up and stand in your way.
And we were telling you about these creeps among the crowd who were throwing cement they put in backpacks at cops. Well, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says a person who threw rocks at federal law enforcement vehicles during those protests over the weekend has been identified.
And they are doing a search warrant on his house as we speak.
A federal officer injured by the thrown rocks during those protests. Bondi says federal law enforcement has the authority to go after looters and others committing crimes under what's called the Hobbs Act.
You can run, you can't hide. We are coming after you federally. If you assault a police officer, if you rob a store, if you loot, if you spit on a police officer, we're coming after you.
Of course, there's been a lot of pushback against bringing National Guard members into Los Angeles. Los Angeles' mayor, Karen Bass, says her city is being used for an experiment as the federal government brings in National Guard and Marines to counter those immigration protests.
This kind of atmosphere, it creates a chaos in our city. People not sure whether they should go outside, whether they need to stay inside. We did not need this. In terms of the immigrant population and other Angelenos, I'm going to do everything I can to keep people safe. The population of all of Los Angeles needs to know that we will stand with them. We're not going to allow our city to be divided and picked apart.
Okay, so we were watching this last night. Things were generally calmer from everything we could see yesterday into last night. No reports of any serious violence as those Marines and National Guard members were moved into Los Angeles. And as we talk about that, ICE arrests have been rising under the Trump administration.
A White House spokesperson says 100,000 arrests have happened this year, which marks a big jump from last year. According to government statistics, in fiscal year 2024, ICE arrested 113,000 people, while the Trump administration is approaching that number in only 6 months. I'm Brian Shook.
WABC News Time 513. U.S. trade officials meeting with their Chinese counterparts in London. Oli Barrett, the correspondent, reports that the talks have been aimed at resolving an ongoing trade dispute between the world's two largest economies.
Washington asked London to be the host, and I think London was very keen to be so. The UK government says it believes that a trade war is in no one's interest and that it wants to see positive outcomes from these discussions.
Okay, so here's what we're being told. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Trade Representative Jameson Greer, all representing the U.S. during this meeting with China's vice premier. He's the lead trade negotiator for China. And apparently these meetings going well. This comes, of course, after President Trump spoke with Chinese President Xi last week.
International investors are watching very, very closely indeed, given the market turmoil in both directions that we've seen at various times in the trade disputes between Beijing and Washington. Certainly going into the talks, there's been a lot of focus on rare earth elements and whether more of those can flow from China to the global economy. From the American perspective, their hope is to try and get back to the shape of discussions and agreement that appeared to come out of the last round of talks between the two countries in Geneva last month.
Both sides say the good news is that they're still talking. All right, 5:15. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Allen.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start with a look ahead. Quiet night with sports last night. You did have a Stanley Cup final, Game 3. The Panthers beating the Oilers 6-1 last night. Your final from Florida. Florida now leads that series 2-1. And looking ahead to the NBA tonight as well. 8:30 p.m. tip-off between the Thunder and the Pacers in Indiana for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. That series is tied at 1 game apiece, and the Thunder are 5.5-point road favorites there for Game 3. To the MLB, we're looking ahead to tonight as well. Following an off day yesterday, the Mets get set to start a 3-game series against the Nationals as they return home to Citi Field. The Griffin Canning will start for New York in what will be a 7:10 p.m. first pitch from Queens. New York has a 42-24 record overall and a 24-7 record at home. The teams meet Tuesday for the 5th time this season. The season series is tied at 2 apiece so far this year. Pete Alonso leads the Mets with 17 home runs while slugging .594, and Francisco Lindor, he's 13 for 40 with a double, 4 home runs and 7 RBI over his past 10 games. In their last 10 overall, the Mets are 8-2, hitting .268 as a team, and have outscored opponents by 31 runs. As for the Yankees, after an off day yesterday as well, they'll get a 3-game series underway tonight against the Royals. The A's Max Fried will get the start in what will be a 7:40 p.m. first pitch from Kansas City. New York has an 18-13 record in road games and a 39-25 record overall this season. They are first in the AL with 105 total home runs, averaging 1.6 per game. Today's game is the 4th time these teams meet this season. Aaron Judge leads the Yankees with 23 home runs while slugging .771. And Austin Wells, he's 9 for 33 with a double, 2 home runs and 6 RBI over his past 10 games. And in their last 10 overall, the Yanks are 5-5. They're hitting .255 as a team, but they've been outscored by 17 runs. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:18. New York lawmakers have voted to approve a bill that would legalize assisted suicide across the Empire State.
The controversial legislation, dubbed the Medical Aid in Dying Act, was designed to allow a doctor to prescribe life-ending drugs to people with 6 months or less to live. The state Senate voted 35-27 in favor of the measure. Its future, though, with Governor Kathy Hochul remains unclear. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
From Albany down to D.C., Robert F. Kennedy Jr. removing all 17 members of a panel that advises the CDC on vaccines.
In an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal Monday, Kennedy wrote, "A clean sweep is needed to reestablish public confidence in vaccine science." Kennedy was a vaccine skeptic prior to becoming the Health and Human Services Secretary. He's since softened his stance, saying if a parent desires their child to be vaccinated, their decision should be based on informed consent through a doctor. I'm Brian Shook.
In a story connected, thousands of National Institute of Health scientists demanding a reversal now to drastic changes that have been made at the agency.
More than 2,000 staffers issued a letter addressed to their director titled the Bethesda Declaration and said, "We dissent to administration policies that undermine the NIH mission, waste public resources, and harm the health of Americans and people across the globe." The agency's director responded to the letter by saying changes have been made in effort to remove ideological influence from science, and he added, "As NIH priorities evolve, so must our staffing to stay mission-focused and responsibly manage taxpayer dollars." I'm Lisa Taylor.
WABC News Time 5:20. President Trump wants to deposit $1,000 in accounts for newborn Americans.
The Trump accounts, as they call it, pilot program, which will make it possible for countless American children to have a strong start in life.
The money would come mostly from employers to their employees, and U.S. citizens born between 2025 and 2028 would be eligible. The CEOs of Uber, Dell, and Goldman Sachs were at the White House yesterday for this roundtable to announce the fact that they would take part in this thing called the Trump accounts that'll track the overall stock market, and it is part of President Trump's big, beautiful spending bill that's making its way through the Senate.
And they're committed to contributing millions of dollars to the Trump account, and it's really it's going to be something incredible. These accounts will be private property controlled by the child's guardians, and in many cases, those guardians will be the parents. We think probably the parents will be the guardians.
And at 18, those then adults would be able to take that money out. 521, Israel stopped an aid ship bound for Gaza yesterday carrying Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and others. The people on board have been detained. They're in Israel now. Thunberg asking for pressure to be put on her country to secure her release in a video that she took to social media.
I urge all my friends, family, and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
Now, she claims she was kidnapped by the Israelis. The ship launched by what's called the Freedom Flotilla Coalition to deliver aid to Palestinians. Israel's foreign minister says the passengers are expected to return to their home country soon.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel.
Yes, now there's a lot of narratives that say the opposite. Correspondent Matt Bradley reports Israeli naval commandos boarded this vessel, handed sandwiches and drinks to the people on board, and told them they were taking them back to a port, the port of Ashdod.
They were really only carrying less than a truckload of goods that they said were trying to pierce through this months-long blockade of the Gaza Strip that has been put in place by the Israelis. But this was really a symbolic protest effort.
Israel's foreign ministry, which referred to the ship as a selfie yacht full of celebrities because they were all sending messages and videos to Instagram, Snapchat, elsewhere. They say that, they took everybody back to Ashdod and now they're sending them home.
The Israelis consider this a sideshow. They basically said the show is over when they captured this flotilla, and they said that this was a selfie yacht. That's what they called it, filled with celebrities. This was done without violence, without any reports of injuries, but it was very high profile. The climate activist Greta Thunberg, who is known mostly for her climate activism, but over the past 2 years has become increasingly vocal about the plight of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. She was among those who were detained.
Now, what we were told is they were going to be shown video of what took place on October 7th, 2023 during the Hamas attacks. It's not clear if that actually took place. 523, let's bring it back home. An old barge is being converted now into a marine terminal up in the Bronx.
Mayor Eric Adams has unveiled plans to remove the decommissioned Correctional Center barge and put a new Hunts Point Marine Terminal in its place.
Our maritime, for the most part, it has remained dead, and you have not witnessed a lot of activity, but that's not where we're going in the future.
He says the terminal would be a key connection on the East Coast and would remove an estimated 9,000 monthly truck trips from city streets and reduce roadway congestion. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 524. Zicam and Oragel products are being recalled over potential fungal contamination.
According to the FDA, the recalled products include Zicam Cold Remedy nasal swabs and nasal all clear swabs, as well as Oragel baby teething swabs. Officials say fungi could be present in the items' cotton swab components, and consumers are advised to immediately stop using the recalled products. According to the FDA, no serious adverse events have been reported at this time. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
A wild story at 525 out of Georgia. A teenager fired off a gun that he found in a Wendy's there that apparently was accidentally left by a visiting sheriff from Texas.
An unsecured gun left behind by Grayson County, Texas Sheriff Tony Benny in a Wendy's bathroom in Covington, Georgia was found and accidentally discharged by a 15-year-old. The sheriff had removed his holstered firearm while in the restroom with his grandson and forgot to retrieve it before leaving. Newton County's DA office decided that no criminal intent or criminal negligence took place. Neither Benny nor the unrelated 15-year-old will face any charges. I'm Thomas Cage.
525, some good news. We told you about this 10-year-old girl who went missing in Jersey City at a mall there. Well, she was found safe and sound yesterday afternoon.
Police say the young girl was found safe around 1 o'clock at an apartment complex 2 miles from the Newport Center Mall where she first went missing. Police say a bystander called in a tip that led to them finding the girl. Surveillance video of the girl leaving the mall with the unknown man had sparked a citywide search for the child. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance were not immediately clear.
WABC News Time 526. A makeshift memorial for King of the Hill actor Jordan Joss, it's Jonathan Joss, is growing in San Antonio, Texas, where he was shot and killed a week ago. His husband thanked friends and family at a weekend vigil.
He always tried to make people laugh, no matter what he was going through.
But those who live in the neighborhood paint a picture of a man who was going through a mental health struggle. There were dozens of calls to police. Some of those suggest Joss would yell obscenities, racial slurs at people passing by his house. There were also threats of violence to neighbors. Joss was best known for voicing John Redcorn on the long-running King of the Hill animated sitcom.
You're listening to the #1 Nielsen-rated The News Hour with Noam Laden. Thank you for listening. 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 10th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. Could see a pop-up shower. The high 79. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 65, and a whole lot warmer for Wednesday. Sunshine, high 85. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 62 and cloudy in New Square up in Rockland County. 63 and cloudy in Clark over in New Jersey. And it's 62 and misty right outside our Midtown studios. We'll start this half hour right here in New York. After more than a decade of advocacy, the so-called Medical Aid in Dying Act passed the state Senate late yesterday. The legislation allows those with terminal illness to medically end their own life. Now, advocates have argued the bill limits what they call unnecessary suffering for individuals who are end-of-life situations.
Giving people that right to die on their own terms. So 2 different doctors have to confirm that the person has a terminal illness, 6 months or less to live, and that they have the mental capacity to make this decision.
Now, it's not law yet, but it could be. Guardrails have been put in place that include the need for both that written and oral request and the need for the individual to administer the prescriptions themselves. The bill has received pushback from disability right advocates and other groups who are concerned people could be pressured into the procedure. But others say, no, this is the right thing. People who are very ill should be able to, if they want to end their own lives.
I think that if you have a legitimate reason, it should be available.
People have cancer, incurable. Nothing can be done. Let them exit the world with class and dignity.
All right, so now this bill will await Governor Hochul's signature. It's not clear that she's going to sign it. WABC News Time 539. Let's head over to New Jersey. Nearly a dozen candidates will compete in today's primary for governor in the Garden State. Voters will also pick nominees for the General Assembly. The race for the Democratic nomination for governor features a pretty crowded field of some prominent current and former office holders. One of them is Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Number one is people are just feeling crushed by the costs, right? And about everything. Their taxes, utility bills, food, childcare.
The candidates spent the last day on the campaign trail yesterday, some of them visiting diners, including Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. She's from Central Jersey.
The number one thing I hear about is housing. So mortgages and rental prices have just gotten too high for people, which is why I'm committed to building more housing and driving down those costs.
Okay, so you have Josh Gottheimer, Mikey Sherrill, Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop, Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, And the former head of the Education Association, Sean Spiller, I think he was also mayor of Montclair. On the Republican side, you have former State Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, who's going to show up on Sid and Friends in the morning this morning. He's making his third attempt at governor. He had a strong showing, remember, back in 2021 against Governor Murphy, came within 3 percentage points of unseating the Democrat. He also was making the round, at least at one diner yesterday.
We've got an affordability crisis in New Jersey. We've got a public safety crisis in New Jersey, public education crisis, overdevelopment issues in our suburban towns.
And then further down the ballot today, all 80 state General Assembly seats are up for grabs, although only 25 districts have contested races. Primary voters may select up to 2 candidates per district. Each race will have 2 winners. Democrats have a lopsided majority in the chamber. It seems like they've had that forever.
It makes it exciting for voters, and it gives us lots of opportunities to explore lots of different people.
Hopefully the economy gets better, and because New Jersey is very, very critical.
Okay, so polls open in about 20 minutes, right at 6 o'clock. They'll close at 8 o'clock. There does seem to be a little more interest in this primary than years past. My guess is it has to do with the fact that there's more to choose from than there has been in the past. In early voting, there was a fair amount of people who did the early voting over the last week. 248,000 Democrats cast primary ballots during early voting. 91,000 Republicans did as well. 542. Let's bring it back here into the city. Mayor Adams warning that violence and lawlessness will not be tolerated here in the city. Made these comments after dozens of protesters were arrested yesterday at Trump Tower, upset over the ICE detentions and the ICE raids. The Trump administration's actions have fueled these demonstrators, of course, in Los Angeles in a big way. Here, it has not been, we haven't seen any real violence. Most of the protests have been peaceful. Mayor Adams, though, yesterday wanted to warn people who thought about getting violent that it would not be tolerated here in the city, that the city would clamp down hard on protesters who did anything illegal.
I understand that some New Yorkers may be angry, afraid, and ready to express that. New York City will always be a place to peacefully protest, but we will not allow violence and lawlessness.
Now, New York City, you know that roughly 40% of New York City residents are from another country. Did you know that number? I didn't realize it was that high. But there have been some protests. There was that one at Trump Tower yesterday. A number of people were arrested there. A number of people were arrested on Saturday. Some of them were the same people also inside Trump Tower.
The escalation of protests in Los Angeles over the last couple of days is unacceptable. It would not be tolerated if attempted in our city.
That was part of a press conference yesterday that he held with the police commissioner. 543. We have new surveillance video that shows the moment when a chain was snatched off a 5-year-old's neck in the Bronx up over the weekend. The father of the child speaking out about the incident. This was in the Fordham section of the Bronx, right on Marion Avenue. So this father and his 5-year-old son are on the street. The father leaves just for 2 seconds, and a thief on a moped drives up to this child and in a split second yanks the gold necklace off of him, of a 5-year-old.
Anyone who targets a 5-year-old, geez, man.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? You see the footage, my son takes 3 to 4 steps forward with the force of being pulled forward. So it definitely was minor scratches and bruises on his neck.
Yeah, I mean, thank God he's going to be okay, but you can imagine how traumatized he is. The family said the necklace that was stolen was worth about $1,300. The pendant represents the most important concept of their Hindu faith. Here, I'll let him explain.
The meaning of Om is a symbol of, it's a powerful symbol in Hinduism. It is said in every mantra, every prayer. You let it resonate into your mind and your soul and your body, your breathing, and it helps in many ways.
It is one of those life pieces that's given at birth to kids. So after the horrible incident, the father removed a similar necklace off his older son's neck, explaining that it's just not worth the risk. They also say that this 5-year-old son, who did have the chain ripped off his neck, is upset, traumatized. Here he explains.
Since Saturday, he's been sleeping with Mom and I in bed because he doesn't feel safe. This morning, walking to school, he jumped maybe 5 times at every scooter that passed by.
Yeah, just awful. Meanwhile, the creep who committed this crime so far has not been caught. 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Starting with a look ahead to tonight, both local ball clubs off yesterday. The Mets will get set to start a 3-game series against the Nationals as they return home to Citi Field. Griffin Canning will start for New York on what will be a 7:10 p.m. first pitch from Queens. New York has a 42-24 record overall and a 24-7 record at home. The teams will meet today for the fifth time this season, I should say. Season series is tied at 2 apiece. Pete Alonso leads the Mets with 17 homers while slugging .594. Francisco Lindor, he's hot over his last 10, 13 for 40 with a double, 4 home runs, and 7 RBI. And in their last 10 overall, the Mets are 8-2, hitting .268 as a team, and have outscored opponents by 31 runs. As for the Yankees, after an off day yesterday as well, they'll get a 3-game series underway tonight against the Royals. The ace Max Fried will get the start in what will be a 7:40 p.m. first pitch from KC. New York has an 18-13 record in road games, and they're 39-25 overall this season. The Yankees are first in the AL with 105 total home runs, averaging 1.6 per game. Today's the 4th time these teams will meet this season. Aaron Judge leads the Yanks with 23 home runs while slugging .771, and Austin Wells, he's been hot over his last 10, 9 for 33 with a double, 2 home runs, and 6 RBI. And in their last 10 overall, the Yanks are 5-5, hitting .255 as a team. They have been outscored, though, by 17 runs. To the NHL, last night on the ice, your final from Florida. The Panthers running a roughshod on the Oilers. 6-1 is your final.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah, in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup final. The Oilers just fell flat, man. I mean, nobody showed up. And the Panthers, they take Game 3, lead that series now 2-1. And tonight on the hardwood, Noam Layden, 8:30 p.m. is your tip-off between the OKC Thunder and the Indiana Pacers.
You going to watch this?
8:30?
It's kind of late, yeah.
That's tough for
That's
me.
your bedtime.
Yeah, I'll probably watch the first few innings of the Yankees game and then catch myself head nodding, getting heavy eyelids probably around the 4th or 5th inning.
It's not tonight.
No. What, the Yankee game?
Oh, no, the NBA game. Did you say the NBA game?
Isn't it tonight?
No, it's tomorrow night.
Oh, never mind. Tomorrow night.
I was so excited to see Indiana tonight.
Right? Isn't that right? I'm getting everybody to go. I'm getting everybody to go for tonight. Yeah, I got it all together, baby.
I would have been so angry if 8:30 that game didn't come on.
We now interrupt this game for a press conference.
Hey, God, we'll scratch the entire thing then. Nobody cares right now. We'll check in tomorrow.
Nobody will care tomorrow either, by the way.
Well, now you can watch Grey's Anatomy. Cool.
Well, I will say, now we can compare and contrast. The Thunder right now, 5.5-point road favorites in that one. We will check again on that line tomorrow. we won't have an answer yet on if they'll cover or not. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. NYPD needs your help finding a 2-year-old boy who's been missing after a visitation with his father that took place nearly a month ago in the Bronx. The father had a custodial visit. This was back on May 10th at 10 p.m. in the Hunts Point area of the Bronx, but did not return the boy. His name is Montrell Williams, and he actually lives in the Melrose section of the borough where people had not even noticed that the mother was searching for him.
What we can do is just hope and pray that he's okay and that he's returned safely. I didn't even know he was missing.
Now, this is what we've heard. The toddler's mother says she saw her ex-husband on Monday, asked him where their son was. His response apparently set off alarm bells. She told cops who brought in this guy to the 40th precinct. Apparently, his initial statements raised some concerns about the child's safety. So we don't know where this story stands right now, but neighbors say they're helping to look for the boy.
I have kids myself, so yeah, it hurts as a parent.
I mean, I can only imagine what his mom is going through right now.
This kid is so cute. We're going to put a picture of him up on WABCRadio.com just on the off chance maybe it's somebody you've seen. 5:51. No arrests yet after a teenage girl was accidentally shot in the face in the Bronx in a public housing unit over the weekend.
It happened Sunday inside an apartment at the McKinley Houses on East 161st Street near Forest Avenue around 6:30 Sunday morning. The 14-year-old girl was hanging out with a group when police say one of them started showing off his gun. The girl was shot in the right cheek. She's recovering at Harlem Hospital. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time 552. Police searching for two men who forced their way into a Queens home yesterday, tied up the entire family, including the kids, robbed them. The brazen home invasion happened on a stretch of 12th Avenue in Whitestone, right across the street from an elementary school. Apparently, they barged in about 9 a.m. in the morning. They got in by pretending to be Amazon delivery men. In fact, they even had Amazon vests on, and they led the mother and father and their 3 children down to the basement. They bound them with duct tape and zip ties. They stole money, jewelry, and then they actually took off in the family's car, which they abandoned about a half mile from the house. Now, a neighbor says he was on his way to work yesterday when the father was able to escape the basement and run out and start screaming for help. And this neighbor was like, what the heck's going on here?
I just see this man come running out of his house with duct tape on him. He was definitely disheveled. He was definitely scared, and he probably didn't know what just happened himself.
Yeah, that neighbor says he didn't know what was going on, but he saw the duct tape on his neighbor's arm and called the cops.
And it looked like he was pulling something down, and I realized that it was duct tape. And I was like, are you okay? And then he said his kids were in the basement. He seemed really rattled and he did not know even what was going on. But he was definitely very nervous.
Now, across the street at this local elementary school, the parents were dropping off kids. They saw the commotion.
All the kids are here. That's really scary for even the children.
Now police are looking into who these two men are and why they chose this house. Usually, at least in my experience, they are targeted robberies, but I guess this could be a random one. So far, cops mum on what they know. 5:54. Let's go out to Long Island. Prosecutors there say a man allegedly plotted to hire a hitman to kidnap, torture, and kill a former business associate. This is 48-year-old Navdeep Singh. He's from Dix Hills. He faces conspiracy, criminal solicitation charges. Prosecutors say he promised this person he believed to be a hitman $100,000 and 10 acres of land to kidnap this victim, take him out of state, torture him. Here's the DA out in Nassau County.
We saved a man's life this weekend. He wanted the victim dead. But not just dead. He wanted him dismembered.
Yikes. Prosecutors say Singh was in a lengthy civil lawsuit with the former business associate that Singh now wanted killed. Police allege Singh was in touch with another co-conspirator repeatedly over the last week to discuss this alleged plot. Some of the details incredibly disturbing. They went as far to take pictures of the victim's home, his vehicle. Then he sent them to the would-be hitman. They also allege he bought a number of burner phones and paid the hitman $7,000 a down payment before he was going to pay him off the rest of the money.
The defendant met with the hitman several times in the past 2 weeks, handing over $7,000. This was a down payment to end a man's life.
Yeah, so thankfully he was not able to pull this off thanks to good police work. DA says that Singh was arrested after he had driven past this victim's house a number of times. They grabbed him in the Whole Foods parking lot nearby. Neighbors, as you might be not surprised to hear, were surprised to hear about this alleged plot.
That's like watching The Sopranos.
Well, yeah. That's pretty surprising.
It is kind of like The Sopranos, isn't it? Singh's bail set at $1 million. The wife of accused Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann says he's her hero and that it was like falling in love with him all over again when she first saw him behind bars. Didn't we get the impression that Asa Ellerup had wanted nothing to do with her husband? Apparently that is not the case. In an explosive interview in the upcoming Peacock docuseries, The Gilgo Beach Killer, House of Secrets, that she was convinced and is convinced that cops have the wrong guy and that she calls her husband wonderful, says he's not a monster who killed and allegedly mutilated 7 sex workers on Long Island over the last 30 years. She says, I know what bad men are capable of doing. And she tells this documentary that I've seen it and I've heard it from other men. But she says, not my husband. 100% you have the wrong man. I can't wait to watch this docuseries. Huerman, of course, is the Manhattan architect who was arrested in July 2023 at his Midtown office and charged with the cold case murders of 3 young sex workers. They've added on others since then. But his wife saying she's convinced 100% by having conversations with him behind bars that he's the wrong guy.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?